Hey guys, Dragonflies here, coming with you my Machina Rocket deck profile of 2020. I know I haven't done a deck profile in a while. It's because I've been modifying and working on this deck for quite some time. So let me show what I've done so far. First up on the deck list is 2 copies of Machina Peacekeeper. It's another Union monster that comes in the deck. I like it because of its ability. If it's destroyed, I can search off for another Union monster and add it to my hand. So it's a really good searcher for all the Union monsters in the deck. Next up on 2s, is 2 copies of Silver Rocket Dragon. I use him mostly to get rid of cards in my opponent's extra deck and stuff. Also, just to use it as either a level 4 or level 4 Xyz or level 4 Synchro material. Next up on the 2s is 2 copies of Aerator. I bumped him down to 2 because he's been getting really clunky, and I really say he's kind of not that useful when it comes to his ability. So I like doing more stuff on my turn instead of my opponent's. So I dropped him down to 2 because you can only activate his effect on your opponent's turn. So I'd rather switch it around. Moving on to 3s is your 3 copies of Summoner Monk. I play him in the deck to special summon out the next guy. I'm just getting the switch of cards around, could be easier. To summon out Rocket Tracer from the deck, and also because also to get Salmon Great Armor J out easier because he's less than 1,000 attack points. So it's quite an easy card to use in this deck. Tracer, since you already seen him, pretty much, if you haven't played the Rockets, for the new people or people that have played Rockets or know what they do, Tracer is pretty much you can target 1 card on the board and destroy it and special summon a rocket from your deck. So that's why I kind of like it in Machinas, because I can target my Earth Machine types, destroy them to get a Dark Dragon, and also if I have Citadel engraved, get him out quicker. So more destruction to my cards. Next up on is 3s is your 3 copies of Gearframe. He is the 2nd Union monster I have in my deck. I only play 2 Unions, Gearframe and Peacekeeper. I use Peacekeeper to search for Gearframe. Again, if you don't know what Gearframe does, for the people that are new to Yu-Gi-Oh! Or haven't had the chance to get the deck yet, Gearframe, he pretty much, when you normal summon him, you can add 1 Machina monster from your deck to your hand other than Gearframe. Also, you can equip him to a monster you control, and if it goes to be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you destroy Gearframe instead. So it helps with keeping Citadel on board. Next up on the 3s is a playset of Scrap Recycler. I pretty much use him just to get Citadel to grave, and also to get Salmon Great Armor J onto the deck, onto the board, because he is only a 900 attack, and he's also a normal summon. So next up on the 3s is your 3 copies of Machina Aerator. I bumped Aerator up to 3 and took Aerator down to 2 because you can get his effect off quicker and a lot more easier to do combos with instead of air raider. So I prefer keeping air raider at 2 and having air raider at 3. Because pretty much you could target himself, destroy him, especially summon out Gear Frame or something from the graveyard, and then also get Citadel because you destroyed an Earth Machine type was destroyed. Moving on to the 3-Zos, last of the monsters is your boss monster, 3 copies of Machina Citadel. This is the card I was talking about. If you destroy an Earth Machine type monster, you can special summon him from the graveyard. He cannot be normal summoned to set, must be special summoned by card effect. So I have other ways of getting him out other than himself. He's also a walking Mageki to your opponent because you can activate his effect, target himself, destroy all monsters equal to or lower than the attack of the monster you targeted, and destroy it. So I usually target himself for a while and just use his 3,000 attack points to my advantage of nuking my opponent's board. Moving on to spells. 2 copies of Cyanide Universe. I'm thinking about bumping this up to 3. Just because it's a really good card and I like seeing it because it helps me recycle back my monsters back from my graveyard into my deck so I can keep getting my recycled material and resources I need to keep the deck going. Moving on to the next 2-Zos is 2 copies of Limited Removal. I play 2 copies of Limited Removal because I hardly see it anyways, but it's a really good card to do if you're gonna try to go for OTK with Citadel, because he bumps him up to 6,000, and also with other monsters you would get on board plus the extra deck monsters, you could easily get an OTK out if you get a good hand. Next up on the 2-Zos is your 2 copies of Magnet Reverse. This is the other card I was telling you about that helps me get out Citadel, because it lets you special summon a Earth or Rock type or Machine type monster from your banished zone or or graveyard that cannot be normal summoned or set. And since Citadel can't be normal summoned or set, it's a valid target. Moving on to the 3-Zos. 3 copies of Twin Twister, just to blow up my opponent's back row cards if I need to, and also just to slow down my opponent with spells and trap stuff. Next on the 3s is 3 copies of Machina Defense Perimeter. This card helps a lot because if you destroy an Earth Machine type, you can just add it back to your hand off of Defense Perimeter and also get Citadel back to the board and also getting a material to your hand. So it's really useful. Also protects your level 4 or lower Machina monsters. If you have a level 7 or higher Machina monster on board. So it's really quite useful. Next up on the 3s, of course, is your kind of like reinforcements, but it's better. It's a Machina redeployment. You can discard 1 card or discard 1 Machina card to either add 2 Machina monsters or add 2 different Machina spell and traps from your deck to your hand, depending on what you discard or which fact you're going to activate. Last of the deck, and moving on to traps, is your 3 copies of Machina Override. I really don't see much of playing traps in decks because I don't really use them that much. Well, I have some sided to put in, but I mainly keep these main board because I could target 1 machine monster I control, no matter what its level, and special summon a Machina monster from my deck with a different name, and special summon the board, so I can destroy Scrap Recycler and get out Citadel for free. Also, it helps, you can banish it and cycle back 3 machine monsters from your graveyard into your deck. So it's another also good recycler to getting back material. Moving on to extra deck, you have 2 copies of Salamangreat Armorjay. Most people now these days probably see a lot of this card because it's really good when it comes to protection during your opponent's turn and during your turn. I like using it for protecting Citadel during my opponent's turn or one of other monsters I need. Its effect is pretty much you can tribute itself and then tribute it or another card to, and then target one card you control. That card can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects until the end of the turn, so it's really useful. Next up on the 2s, and I might be thinking about bumping it up to 3, is Miss Radiant. Because your deck is 90% Earth, she really helps of keeping Citadel at a high level at 35, and then plus limit removal for win. But she boosts all Earth machine type, all Earth monsters you control by 500, and decrease all wind type monsters by 400. But I'd mostly just use her for the boost of 500. Also, if she's destroyed, you can add back an Earth type monster from the grave. So it kind of helps a lot. Hold on a second. Ones ofs that I play is Deco Talker and Bolode. I'm going to talk about both of them to make it shorter. Deco Talker Extender, his effect is really good for this deck because I like destroying my own cards. So if a card he points to is sent to the graveyard or destroyed, he can make 2 attacks during each battle phase. So he can attack twice if I destroy or send a card or destroy a card he points to. Bolode effect is pretty much the same as everybody knows Bolode except for people that are new. So Bolode's effect is you can attack a monster, you can make it decrease by 500. And you can also attack and take control of a card your opponent controls. So it's really good for that too, to taking your opponent's boss monster and using it against them. Moving on to Synchros. And I only play 1 copy of each, so I'm just going to place them all 3 down. Red Dragon Archfiend, Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, and Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. Reason why I play the Archfiends instead of new good Synchro monsters is because I like destruction and burning effects, which Scarlet was the first one I had in the deck, then I went to Hot Red, and then I went to Red Dragon Archfiend. Because Red Dragon Archfiend can obliterate my opponent's board if it has a lot of defense position monsters. Scarlet destroys special summon monsters, then deal 500. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend just obliterates the board, other than himself. So it's a really good, easy. Yeah, it pretty much, and then Hot Red destroys all other face-up attack position monsters, other than himself. So it pretty much mostly board wiping and damage. You see why I like doing a lot of board wiping here in a second. For protection, and because I just like this card, number 39, Utopia. Pretty much his effect is you can detach 1 Xyz material from him and negate a monster's attack. but you can only do it twice because he only takes 2 monsters to summon him. But he's a really good protector if you need just to stall for time. Now for the card, reason why I'm saying I like doing destruction and board wipes. Number 68, Cinefeed, the Sky Prison. Reason why I like doing board wipe is because for each monster in the graveyard, he gains 100 attack points. So if you and your opponent have a whole lot of monsters in your graveyard, well, if your opponent has a lot of monsters in your graveyard, which 90% my deck does, I would summon him and go into an OTK because he would have almost enough attack points to kill you. So it's a pretty much, if I want to go complete destruction, I'm going into number 68 because it's a fast, easy transition to graveyard. Also, you can detach one motif from him. It makes your opponent neither player can special to move monsters from the graveyard. So it's useful. Last of the extra deck is 1 copy of Galaxy Eye's full armor dragon, photon dragon. I'm trying to get Tachyon. I will do an update when I try to find a Typhonic dragon, Galaxy Eye's Typhonic dragon. I think that's how it's said. I don't remember. And then I'll show you a combo that's better. I'll show you the combo of the deck when I get that card. But so for right now, this is the only one I have. And number XX, Utopic Dark Affinity. Reason why I'm saying Typhonic to go with full armor, because you can summon full armor on top of Typhonic. It makes it easier to combo and spamming. Reason why I use these two is for life gain, because number XX his ability is you can target one other special summon monster you control. You gain its attack points you gain life points equal to its attack points, which is 4,000. So I would gain 4,000 life points off Utopic's effect. Full armor is in here for mostly destruction. These are why these two are good together, because full armor destroys, XX gains. And his detach for XX is if a monster is destroyed during battle, you can detach 1 Xyz material and special summon it to your board, so it never hits graveyard. So these are why these two are good together, for 1 for life gain, taking, and destruction. And that's the last of the extra deck. Moving on to side deck. Now I don't really have a good side deck as much when it comes to hand traps, so I don't really like playing them. The only one I really prefer that it's literally kind of a hand trap is World Legacy, because its effect is pretty much if my opponent goes to attack my Link monster like Salamangreat Armor J, I can discard this and make my opponent's monster lose 3,000 attack points, so pretty much retaining it to 0. And I will take no battle damage. So it's a useful card when it comes to protection with Link monsters. Next up on this side deck is 1 copy of Pankratops. I really use it. Really, his effect is if your opponent controls more monsters than you, you can just summon him for free. And then you can activate his quick effect. You can tribute him and blow up 1 monster your opponent controls. I'm going to put 2 cards down because it's a combo cards. Destiny Hero Plasma and Armor Frag Goliath. This is if I want to play my lockdown version of this deck, which is just getting these 2 to board and then just waiting out. Because after you get him to board, your opponent can't activate card effects and neither play a special summon from the extra deck. And I don't really need the extra deck to actually win with this deck. I just like having it just in case if I want to use it. Pretty much putting 2 more down, pretty much kaijus to mess with my opponent and get more abilities to go off and stuff. Mostly give Turtle to my opponent to weaken and distribute summon him to my board to go into XX with Citadel and him, pretty much. This guy I put in here for life gain reasons, and also because I can use Mana Reverse on him, bring him out for Citadel, and then use Citadel's effect on him to nuke the board for any monsters less than 4,600. So it's quite easy when it comes to summoning. I can just Mana Reverse it from the deck, from the graveyard to the board. Because his attack effect ain't really that good. It's really just you have to pay 1,000 life points to attack with them, so I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just use them as a life gain ability and for nuking boards. Moving on to spells. Card destruction for if I have bad hands. One copy of Rave Motion Cannon, just to get an OTK really going on with it more. Trap cards. One copy of Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike, Cyber Summon Blaster, and Dimension Prison. Reason why these are in here, it's because three negations and one burn for each. If each machine monster special summon, you burn your opponent for 300. That's what this one does. If your opponent goes to attack, you can activate this, negate the attack, and banish the monster. If a monster would be summoned or effect would be monster activated that includes a special summon of a monster, negate it, negate any preset, negate any activated spells or monster effects. So pretty much negation and destruction. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I might do another one when I get another structure deck to go, because you know how my decks are. All my decks are built from structure decks. Every single deck I post is from structures that I build and put my own little thing to it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna log off now and upload this video to YouTube. Dragonflies out.